it's Steph, and I'm sharing our movement of the week this week, which, because we are partaking in Sleep Week this week at the studio, we thought we'd choose a movement that is a little bit more restorative and relaxing. So our movement of the week is a forward fold. And there's a lot of different variations of forward folds, whether you're standing with legs together, legs wide, seated folds, all kinds of variations. So this is a great movement for restoration, relaxation, stretching out your muscles after you've worked them. It's a great one to do before bed to help lead you into restful sleep. So it's a great movement, and most of you have probably done it before, whether it's in a cool down or a yoga practice. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about forward folds though, because there is a little bit of a misconception with forward folds that we need to have our legs straight and we want to stretch as far as we possibly can, because this is a pose that is seen more for flexibility, sit and reach test and different ways that it's been used in the past. But an interesting fact about forward folds and just basic hip flexion is that when we're going into a fold, we want to think about average range of motion for the body, for the hips. And everyone's going to be a little bit different, obviously. But an average range of motion for hip flexion, so here, is actually 110 degrees. So what that means is if I'm standing kind of upright here, okay, and I fold, here's 90 degrees, so creating that 90-degree angle, and then 110, which would be a little bit further, so about right here, and that's with legs straight, right? So knees not bent, legs straight. So this is about average range of motion for hip flexion. Now, if I soften the knees, I can go a little bit deeper because I'm taking away from that angle a little bit. So that's why we do a lot of our folding with our knees bent. So example, forward fold here. Because when you're here, a lot of times what happens is you end up pulling on the backs of the knees and then the lumbar, the low back. And that's not necessarily where we want to feel the stretch. If we really want to feel it in the hamstrings, then we actually want to bend the knees just a little bit so we can start to feel it in the back middle of the muscle, which would be right here, or maybe even in the calves. Not necessarily in the joints, which would be knees and low back. So that could be from a forward fold position. You might also do the same thing from, let's say, a wide fold. A lot of times I see people will place their hands on their hips and then they keep their legs straight and they hinge from here and they do this nice wide fold. But again, I'm feeling it in the back of the knees and I'm feeling it in the low back more than my actual muscles. If I soften the knees, then I might be able to go a little bit deeper into that fold without straining the joints, and now I'm feeling it more in the muscles versus the joints. Same concept if you're doing a seated fold. So a lot of times in yoga we think of this, where we want to touch our toes or bring our head all the way down to our knees, right? Head to knee pose really is what it is. But if we think about this, okay, in this position, we're in 90 degrees, right? So that is the same position as being here. So if 110 is our average range of motion for hip flexion, and we have legs straight, then that would be probably somewhere around here. But a lot of times we get either pushed into it or we're trying to go deeper because we want to get that flexibility. So what can we do here instead? This is a little bit more challenging to try and feel it in the muscles versus the joints. So I always say if you're feeling it only in the back of the knees and the low back, ease up a little bit, come up, see if you can maybe soften the knees. Maybe you just need to open up your legs a little bit more and see if you can start to feel it in the back of the muscle a little bit more than just the joints. So if I bend the knees, same idea here, I'm decreasing that angle and I'm getting more work and stretching here for the muscles versus just forcing into the joints. So just some things to think about when you're doing any sort of folding. Think about where you're feeling it. Are you actually feeling it in the muscles or are you feeling it in the joints? Not that we don't want to strengthen our joints as well, but we also want to make sure that we're not pushing beyond our normal range of motion. We want to think about keeping our body safe and healthy for years to come. So think about kind of that range of motion, 110 degrees, hip flexion, and then doing just some different variations. You could also do, maybe you do a half fold. Maybe you do kind of an angle, maybe a little side forward fold. So there's a lot of different folds you could do. You could do a wide fold from a seated position, standing, forward fold, whatever it is, whether you're stretching or doing yoga. Think about where you're feeling that stretch and think about kind of the purpose and the intention behind it. So this is a great one to do, like I said, before bed to kind of relax you into sleep. So have fun doing lots of folds this week. They should be relaxing and restorative to help promote better sleep and restoration.